Hello, my name's Gemma Cowley and this is my poster presentation as part of my dissertation project. So the title of my chosen project is A Survey of RAO in the Equine Population and Its Consequences. So just a bit of background information on RAO. RAO stands for recurrent airway obstruction. It's a common disease within the equine population. It can be quite performance limiting because side effects of the condition are a persistent chronic cough, which often is worse upon exercise, nasal discharge, and also just general increase of respiratory effort and difficulty. The disease is basically an allergic reaction, and that can be to dust or to pollen, or which can be created by the environment that the horse is in. So a lot of RAO treatment is actually kind of prevention rather than minimising the effects that the environment is having on the horse. Okay, so the aims of my project are to measure the occurrence of RAO in the equine population, and also to collect information on how many of those affected horses are maintaining the same workload pre and post diagnosis. My hypothesis is that there will be a significant difference in athletic performance pre and post diagnosis. Progress to date, I'm actually quite behind on my dissertation project due to personal circumstances. So at the time of submitting this poster, I had read 36 articles and journal articles on RAO. That's now 59. And as you'll see here, my data collection deadline was the 20th of February. Unfortunately, that's a deadline that I've not managed to stick to due to those personal circumstances. Okay, so I have reviewed some papers, like I said, and the most significant one I've come across so far was airway inflammation and mucus in 2 age groups of asymptomatic well-performing sports horses. That's Gerber 2003 even, sorry. So that study, it basically looked at airway inflammation in well-performing sports horses that weren't displaying any clinical signs. So the study involved 26 horses, 13 of those had a mean age of 5, and there were 13 older horses with a mean age of 15. So I think that's quite a strength of the project because they did consider age as a factor. The horses were all living in the same conditions. They were all stabled in conventional stabling and bedded on the same bedding material. The results were quite conclusive of this study. They found that although the horses were clinically healthy and performing well, upon examination, a lot of those horses were actually affected by airway disease, even though they'd not developed clinical symptoms. And they also found that the age wasn't a factor. So it was actually 100% of those horses that were clinically healthy and well performing were abnormal based on the criteria for the symptoms. So yeah, 100% of those horses were affected by the airway disease. The weaknesses in the study were that no endoscopy was carried out, so it was just clinical signs that were used. There was also quite a limited duration of the study, so a longer period would have been much more informative. And also there's no real proof that these horses would have performed better with healthy airways. So yes, that's all for consideration and something that I will take into consideration for my study. Thank you very much.